And welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters Singapore for 2013, the fourth round of the Season 8 Championship that all leads to Katowice in March 2014. The winner of this tournament will get an automatic spot in the World Championships for StarCraft 2 as part of the Intel Extreme Masters. We have had 3 fantastic groups already in the last 2 days. We also had open brackets on our first day as well, which proved to be very, very interesting indeed. They're very competitive as well. They also produced one of the players we're about to see in Group D, which is what we're going to kick off now. Let's show you the bracket for Group D. It is a dual tournament format, and hopefully we can get those brackets up for you now. There we go. It is a dual tournament format, so the winners of each of the 2 matches go through to the upper bracket final. The winner of that takes his place in the quarterfinals. The last place will go to the winner of the bottom bracket, so Hydra versus Squirtle, and the next game after that will be Grubby versus Hack. I know there's a lot of support in the crowd for Grubby here, with the fact that he has a Singaporean wife as well, so I'm sure they'll be cheering for him. But first, we're going to have our first game of the day, which is going to be very special for a number of different reasons. First of all, 2 fantastic players. These players have come a long way from Korea, of course. One of them has a lot of history in Pro League, and the other one hasn't been seen all that often this year outside of Korea. So we're thrilled to have them both here at the Intel Extreme Masters. First of all, the 2 players that we're going to introduce to the stage. First of all, a Zerg, one of the top Zergs we believe at this tournament. Hydra thinks this man might just win it all. Please welcome Hydra. And he goes head-to-head with a man who had to qualify for this tournament and did so in tremendous fashion, coming through the open bracket as a, well, just slicing through it like a hot knife through butter. He's also a fellow Korean, a man who has finished second in a number of tournaments down the years, including the GSL. He is, of course, the one and only Squirtle. And as we promised at the start of this tournament, because we have a Zerg versus a Protoss, it's time to hand you over to a commentary team, which I never thought I would introduce. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Hydra and Todd.
Thanks very much, Paul. Welcome back here at the caster's desk, and I'm going to be commentating with my good friend here, Hydra, Gregory Fields, also known as Captain Gregory.
Captain Gregory, huh?
What do you think about this Protoss versus Zerg we have going here? Which race is going to be stronger this time?
Well, Protoss is obviously going to be the stronger race, but I think Hydra will win anyway.
Good start to this commentary here with some bold statements. This matchup here is very interesting for me because these 2 players, they are so good in this matchup. In particular, in my opinion, Squirtle, one of the very, very best Protoss versus Zerg player in the world, and Hydra. I was talking a little bit with his coach, and he told me that Hydra was actually going into this match very confident. He's one of the best Zerg versus Protoss there was in Pro League. I think he had the top ratio, basically, in the matchup. And if we look at his history, even qualifying for this tournament, he was able to beat Deer, Classic, he beat Rain. Then he lost to Hero, his teammate, that is. And he won against Rain again to be able to qualify here. So can you imagine how good this guy is going to be versus Protoss, looking at these results here?
Even since back in Brood War, he's been a ZVP specialist. It's always been his matchup. Even with a change into StarCraft 2, it's apparently carried through. He's also on the team with Hero, who's one of the best Protosses in the world. You couldn't ask for a better practice partner. But on the other side of things, we have Squirtle, who he kind of reminds me of San in a few ways. He's one of those very quirky, weird, he does lots of build orders. He's always very aggressive. He's looking for any way to make his opponent uncomfortable, and that's a great way to play against Zerg. And he's been around for absolutely forever. He's been on IEM stages, on a bunch of international stages before. Whereas Hydra is the less experienced. He did actually win a Star League back in Brood War. But in StarCraft 2, he hasn't really done anything beyond the Pro League. It's been a while since he's been on a big main stage like this. So I think Squirtle might have a bit of an advantage there, but Hydra, I'm very excited to see what he can do. Yeah,
are you familiar with his playstyle versus Protoss? Is there anything he prefers to do? I'm guessing he's fairly aggressive.
I think you pretty much have to be aggressive in the mid-game CVP right now, especially amongst the Korean players who prefer aggression just as a rule. Lots of Ling Hydra into Muta, as it seems to be a go-to amongst a lot of Zergs. But really just very generic play and very tactical play. It's more how he does it than any particular style, because you have to be very flexible, because it really depends you know, on the Protoss composition. You have to react to that. You can't just barrel down into a bunch of immortals with roaches or vice versa.
Okay, for those of us that are not as familiar with Hydra as you, who would you compare him to for example, as one of the famous players out there? Who does he compare to the best? A Dongrigu,
I see a lot of similarities to Dongrigu, actually.
Okay.
Dongrigu is one of the first Koreans who really just did that Ling Hydra into muted pretty much every game, regardless of what his opponent was doing, and just try and out-multitask you. And Hydra, I think, has a lot of similarities to that.
Okay, Squirtle, from what I've seen recently, he's been doing pretty well versus Zerg, as always. He's been using a lot of quick third bases and kind of what I like to call the Deer/SOS/Naniwa build, where you get the quick +2 and blink while doing all this. And then from there, he likes those big gateway aggressions. Sometimes he's going to take a little bit more, but more often than not, I think he's going to go for attacks. Bring out his Mothership Core with him, and he's very good with force fields, time warps. He always knows when to recall, when not to, and that's going to make Hydra's life very difficult, I feel, in this series. If he makes one single mistake regarding those spells, it could go wrong for him from there.
But it's also a very dangerous way to play because, you know, the spells go both ways. If you miss one force field, especially if he is going a Muta style into Banelings or something like that, miss one force field with that, one good connection with the Stalkers, and that's pretty much the end of the game for you. You don't have the turtle and get back into it ability of a Robo kind of play.
Actually, Polar Knight is going to be our first map. Maybe we should have paid a little bit more attention to the map videos, man. We got
we just
carried
kind
away.
of talked through that. It's okay.
But Polar Knight here, I definitely feel that this is one of the harder maps for Protoss. Taking a third can be very difficult. It's quite far away, but so is it for the Zerg. Making two base all-ins possible as well. What do you think?
Like you said, Squirtle kind of prefers that fast third Nexus style, which is weird because he is one of those players who's been around since the beta, and he was a very cheesy player right at the start. But like you said, now going for a third base into very heavy gateway play, that's going to be very risky if he tries to go for that here. It's going to have to be like a Ninja third Nexus. He's going to have to sneak that by. If Hydra knows about it, he can shut it down because they're all so far away and exposed compared to the natural. But Hydra...
Sorry, Squirtle, I feel, is a very timing-oriented player. With the first tournament in which I really saw him come out and I thought he shined so much in was at the IPL in Las Vegas, in which he took second. Just losing to Alive, and
he literally did a Colossus all in every game.
Yes, exactly. He did so well, in particular versus Stern and Zerg. It was all timings, every single time. He got the perfect amount of sentries. Execution was great. He had some very good force field considering the time. There used to be a time where it was actually...
It was a challenge?
Yes.
Those were the days.
And I think there is no better way to describe him than as a timing-oriented player. Yeah. Whereas Hydra, from what you tell me, sounds a lot more versatile.
I believe he is, but I think it's very important in this matchup for Hydra to really get in Squirtle's face. I think Squirtle is one of those players who he can take a build order and he can run with it, and he can execute it really well if the game goes according to his plan. But I feel like his multitasking is kind of lacking. And if you get him spread out, if you get him responding to what you do, I think that's the best way to get in his head.
But you say get into his face. Like I'm picturing basically an Hydra trying to attack all the time, whereas Squirtle is usually the one that's going to try to attack. So maybe you mean defensively also. Be able to defend well enough against Squirtle's aggression. I
think counterattacks are one of the best defense to like a mindlessly timing-oriented Protoss. Like if he's just kind of doing a build order, like a lot of Protosses do, and just kind of shoving his units down your throat, and you get some Zerglings in his base, everything falls apart really fast. He either has to recall back, or he loses all his probes and he's forced into an all-in. And Zerg can often defend those all-ins.
This is very interesting. We should do this more often. Can we talk for like 30 more minutes before the game starts?
Just tell them to slow the game down. We have important things to discuss. We're improving ourselves here.
All right, the game is going to be getting underway here in a minute. You see Hydra on your screen right now. I'm not particularly familiar with this guy. I mean, I used to watch a bit of Pro League, which is where he's been playing mostly for us that didn't really play or watch Brood War, and that followed StarCraft 2. And I have to say, you're going to have to keep me informed on his style, what we're seeing exactly, because I'm really not that familiar with him. And so sometimes if he does something special, don't hesitate to really try to describe in details what you see, because I want to learn. I want to learn more about this guy. Honestly, his coach actually got me really excited. He told me this guy is like...
His coach is really good at hyping up his players. He's basically said that all three of them are going to win the tournament. Although I think he said it most about Hero. I think he's the favorite going forward. But no, I think a lot of people, myself included, are going to be kind of in the dark about Hydra because without Pro League in the last couple of months, no one's really seen him play that much. And that's the problem a lot of these Kestrel players have. A lot of them are amazingly good, but you just don't really see them that much. They don't travel to a lot of tournaments. If they're not high up in the GSL, you're not going to see them play because no GSTL for them. So I think a lot of people might be surprised by how good, or at least how he plays.
Okay, so for you, Hydra definitely the favorite here? Score prediction?
I'm going to say Hydra wins 2-0, but
Okay.
really kind of in the dark because I haven't seen him play recently either, and I'm not really familiar with how Squirtle's been playing.
Okay, just for the sake of disagreeing with you, and strongly disagreeing with you, I'm going to say Squirtle 2-0 then.
Okay.
All right, the game is loading up. Hydra versus Squirtle. Hydra of CJ versus Squirtle playing on IEM. This is going to be sick. I can feel it, Greg.
It should be an exciting game. They're both... ZVP right now, I think it just forces you into mid-game aggression, and Squirtle likes to do his attacks. So I think it will be definitely fast-paced and back and forth.
All right, I think this is one of those rare times where I'm going to be doing the introductions here. So in the top left-hand side of Polar Knight here, we have CJ's Hydra. Looking very calm and focused here. His opponent starting in the bottom hand corner, playing for team LG. Well, not LG anymore. IEM actually, just IEM. We have Squirtle. And Squirtle, it looks like he wants to go for what has been his go-to build recently. With the pylon up the ramp, he's going to wall his gate at 13. And basically, from there, he has 2 different builds that I've seen him do, no more than 2. Sometimes he goes for a quick scout after the gateway, or even before that. And behind this, he will go for a Nexus.
He's going for a very fast scout here, actually.
And I don't know, maybe he's mixing it up a little bit more, but the builds that I've seen him do recently is 1 gate gas expands, or 1 gate Nexus, and then gas a little bit later, with a wall at his ramp every single time.
I definitely would expect him to go gateway expansion. I think that's just generically the better build right now, but definitely on a map like this where the third is so exposed, gateway expansion just gives you so many ways to pressure something like that. I think it would be a horrible waste for him not to take advantage of that.
And Pig actually was unfortunate enough to meet Squirtle in the first round of the open bracket, and on this map, Squirtle against Pig, he went for some gateway heavy aggression, and he was able to end the game quite quickly.
Like 4 gate, 1 gas, all any type thing, or just pressure?
I think it was a few more gates. He took an expansion, he stayed on 2 gas, and then it was probably something like 7 gates, and with some good time warps and force fields, he was able to basically kill a lot, but Pig overdroned a little bit in that game, so I don't really expect Hydra to make the same mistake here. No offense to you, Pig, I love you. But
I think on a map like this, especially since he's forcing Hydra to take his third as his natural, so he's forcing him to take that outer expansion. I think a build like that actually could just work here regardless of the drone counts, because that third base is so exposed, and that kind of pressure comes so quickly and is very powerful in the hands of someone with good force fields and good time stops. So I don't know, if I were Hydra, I would be worried about something like that. Whenever I take my third early on against a gateway expansion, I just feel so very exposed.
Okay. One thing about Squirtle, in some of his recent matches, he played in a cup hosted by Millennium, and he had to play versus Scarlet and Sheck of Western World, who has been doing very good. He beat both of them 2-0 with the exact same builds that I just talked about. This one and the other one was with the gas before the Nexus. So, do you think there's any chance Hydra did any research and maybe found those VODs, or
I honestly kind of doubt it. The Korean players tend to... Well, Squirtle is a Korean player in his own right, so it's possible they gave him a little bit more credit. Against non-Korean players, Koreans are just kind of famously cocky, and they don't really study them or put much effort into preparing and just assume they're going to be able to outplay him. Squirtle, of course, is a Korean player, so he probably is more familiar with them. I doubt he saw those games particularly, but I imagine he knows at least somewhat what his tendencies are going to be.
All right, the probe gets into the main here, and Squirtle's going to be able to see there is no gas. He knows that he's quite safe early on here with his wall. And I mean, there's not really much, it feels, that will work as a rush against this build order of Squirtle here.
No, it's very, very safe early on. If anything, I really think that seeing no gases from Hydra makes Squirtle think he might want to go on the offensive, because no speedling anytime soon. It's going to be pretty easy to get a pylon down. There's not going to be any roaches out to thwart any zealots. So if I were Squirtle, I might be looking for an attack here. Okay. And he's getting a Stalker quickly, so that's going to drive off Overlords.
Yeah, he actually chrono boosted it, which I'm a little bit surprised about. He's going to start walling off now.
Coming as well.
Yeah, and chrono boosting it too. I think he wants to put pressure on the third base, maybe with the Mothership Core is going to be good. And we actually only have 1 Queen there. And
no more Queens building at the third hatchery either, unless he just started. No, it's at the natural, so that's going to be very exposed.
How much damage do you think he can do here? I mean,
I think he can kill the Queen for sure. 10 more Zerglings, but they are going to be slow lings, so it's not really dangerous either way. The Stalkers can't escape.
He's going for the natural, surprisingly enough. I really thought he was going to go for the third base. Behind this, a sentry was made. Actually, the second Stalker is chasing a Zergling inside his own main here, so this is going to take a while to get across the map. Do you think there is no chance Squirtle is expecting that there is no speed, right? Otherwise,
he scouted no gas, so he knows that there's no speed.
But I mean, like, coming anytime soon, because Hydra, he took his gases quite late. He could have taken them just right after Squirtle left, which was not the case here.
Either way, he wouldn't have speedling in time to slow. And he's actually burning the time slot just to... he's under no threat. He knows that Stalker is going to escape one way or the other, so he's just doing as much damage as he can here. And he already forced that many Zerglings to be built. That's a big hit to Hydra's economy early on.
Squirtle added 2 extra gateways, we see standard. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Forge going down very soon. And actually, no. It's going to be additional gateways here.
Oh,
and
so
the Overlord steps in right at this moment. It almost spotted it.
He saw one gateway being added.
This is enough, you think, of an information?
Maybe. He sees another one. He put another one down in the vision range, so Hydra has to be curious now.
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
and
he should know
there's going to
be aggression, and we'll see how well Hydra can defend this here. Squirtle, oh, his Pylon gets caught here. Is he going to get sniped? Looks so.
It's going to dive. He's going to trade some Zerglings, but he gets the Pylon. That's well worth it. Does he still have a probe out on the map? I don't see one.
I can't find it. Must have died. He's actually... Okay, he's restarting to proxy Pylons near his natural now. This is quite a disaster here. 22 Zerglings on the way. Speed is about to finish.
Yeah, he's going to be able to just get map control and prevent any forward Pylons.
He doesn't have a recall.
Oh, wow.
If these units get caught out of position, in particular the Stalkers, I mean, you don't really care about Zealots. They are kind of free anyway, but at this point...
And he's sending more units out. If he gets caught out and he can't force field, this could be very, very bad.
I think Squirtle is actually...
about to finish.
The sentries, he has to be careful. He's about to swap in a lot of units. Hydra goes for the attack here. The important units to kill out the sentries. He's actually losing a ton of Zerglings, not killing too much just yet. Just kill one single sentry. And behind this, we have 9 Roaches in production. Lair started.
Lots more sentries being warped in and a couple of Zealots, but I think Hydra may have bought himself enough time to get the Roaches out and survive. And he's actually he's continuing to buy himself a lot of time with these Zerglings.
Yeah, Squirtle behind this. He corner boosted all of his gateways. He has started no tech, no robo, no forge was made. He took only one of the gases on his expansion. He's really committing to this. And I really like the job that Hydra is doing with his Zerglings here. Again, poking in on the pylon, but now those Roaches, they're going to get force fielded. Maybe this is a little bit too early for Hydra to fight. He has to be careful. Nice time warp goes down on these Roaches.
Oh, a nice flank from the Zerglings, and he's all out of force field, so he is going to lose some sentries for free, and more Zealots are coming in, but that's still a lot of units there from Squirtle, and he has 7 gateways backing this up. Yeah, so he's going to have more and more coming.
Look at the production, 7 Roaches on the way, 2 Zerglings. Hydra is going to need much more than that. Squirtle is executing this so well here.
That was such an efficient fight for him. Those were a ton of force fields. And that third gas, usually you don't get a third gas when you're doing this gateway rush, but it allowed him to get so many sentries and just an absurd number of force fields, and it really won that first battle for him.
Oh, he has another time warp available now. Squirtle is going to wait a little bit for the next warp in, and I think he's going to look for a flank here from 2 sides, from the main with the units reinforcing. Yeah, there's just so much.
And he gets trapped right up against the Zealots.
Oh, Hydra is on 47 army supply against 46 of Squirtle, but a lot of those units are producing right now. And he's going to chase this down with some quits as well. But, I mean, he needs much more Zerglings than this. Right now, this is all Stalkers. And there is more Stalkers than there is Roaches.
And he has some Zerglings coming, but 12 of them is not going to be enough, especially if the Roaches are going to die before they even join the fight. And I don't know if Hydra can hold this. I don't think he can.
Going to be very difficult. He's chasing his opponent down right now. Squirtle doing a very good job of not overstepping here. Every time he pulls back when he has to, and he looks to be in a great position here in this game. He's reinforcing with a lot of Zealots here. I like this choice because he already has a critical mass of Stalkers. Hydra trying to get as many units out as he can. Squirtle's forcing the fight here. Yeah. Hydra, there's no way he can run away forever here. He has to keep on fighting, and this is still quite close here.
The only thing Hydra has going for him is that there's no more force fields, no more sentries, and none being warped in. But the Zealots and Stalkers are strong enough. He does have Roach speed now. If he gets a good fight, he can chase it down and clean it up. But just so many Stalkers, they're killing the Roaches faster than Hydra can do anything.
Oh my god, there's so many Stalkers. Both players microing their heart out here. But Squirtle, it looks like he might have too much here. Hydra, there's no way he could have done the burrow either. He didn't have the gas for it, and now he's losing everything that he has. He's left with 5 Roaches against a lot of Stalkers.
And the production is just getting smaller and smaller for Hydra. He doesn't have the resources left to keep up with Squirtle.
And that Mothership Core is going to have another time warp here. This is going to be like the 5th or something this game.
Yes, it is. And a Queen goes down, so that's even less production for Hydra, and he already couldn't keep up. The drones are falling. It's not looking good.
Yeah, Hydra down to 39 drones against 38 probes, and Squirtle feels like he has enough. He's going for it. GG gets called, and Squirtle is going to win the first game for Protoss and his team IEM, and for himself.
And for your prediction. God damn it, Hydra. Well, that was exactly the build that you said he beat Pig with earlier, and apparently Hydra was not watching that game, wasn't really prepared for it. He knew it was coming even. He put down the Roach Warren as soon... He saw the gateways right as they went up. He put down the Roach Warren as soon as he saw it. He knew what was coming.
And I mean, he didn't even over drone.
No.
Did you see how many drones he had? He had like 40 something. It's not much.
He started his lair. Maybe he stays on hatch check and just tries to overwhelm it, but then the follow-up is kind of awkward and uncomfortable. I don't know, the only thing I can think of is you get speed earlier. I really, against Gateway Expansion, I think you need speed early just to control the pylons and the probes. It's so hard to fight efficiently.
Do you agree that the first pressure that Squirtle went for forced a lot of Zerglings, so then Hydra didn't have the drones that he should have had after?
Yeah, and he got a couple of pylon kills, but Squirtle really kept his head about him, just sent out another probe, didn't panic, didn't cancel the attack or anything like that.
How many Zerglings do you think he should have made to be just fine and be able to drone at the same time? Because now he made like something ridiculous.
Yeah, he made at least 14. I think you need 10 max, especially because he saw that the other Stalker was staying in the main. It wasn't joining the attack. Maybe if both Stalkers had come, he would have needed that. But as is, I think he would have been fine with 10 max.
All right. I guess this is good. We find every mistakes they make. They should watch the VODs later.
It makes us sound way smarter than them, too. It's cool. I like this.
All right, second map here, going to be Bel'shir, Vestige. Any thoughts, Hydra?
This can be a tough map if Protoss gets going because there's so many high grounds and so many tight chokes if they get a Colossus ball. And I'm not sure if he still does it, but Squirtle used to be, if he took a third base, he was going to do a Colossus all-in. And that kind of style I think is pretty okay on here because if you get on the high ground, you get a couple of force fields, you just decimate a Zerg army.
Well, I think on this map, it's a lot more likely we're going to see him take his gas before throwing down the Nexus and then going for a quick third base like I spoke about before.
Definitely.
And then possibly throw down a lot of gateways and then go for a big timing with many sentries full on energy, the Mothership Core, which did so much in the previous game. It was incredible, and it was like the hero of the game or something.
Yeah, there wasn't really anything Hydra could do about that. He just kept, he was very judicious in his use of time stops, and he made sure that he was always going to get a bunch of kills whenever he used it. And so he just used them very efficiently. I do think a fast third Nexus would be a good choice here, just because it is more defensible on here than on Polar Knight. On Polar Knight, you're really not going to get away with it anytime quick. You have to go robo units, or at least a lot of force fields if you want to hold on to it. But here, relatively easy. If you get a cannon or two up, you can get away with pretty greedy builds.
Yeah. I have to say, this looked very solid by Hydra, scouting-wise early on. Like, right when Squirtle put down the gateways, the Overlord flew in. It was like, I don't know if it's star sense or just the timing. He knows when to look for this with the clock, but this looked great at first. It's just this attack. He didn't seem to know exactly how to hold it, and it looked so strong. And I really like the choice of going for the natural, by the way. It worked out quite well in the end.
Yeah, because he had no creeps right there. He had a bit of creep at the third base, but the natural was entirely bare. And the other thing was, Squirtle actually opened that up with a very, very early probe scout, which is something a lot of Protosses don't do with Gateway Expansion. And that actually set it up really well, because it forced him to take his third first. That meant there was no creep spread connecting the natural and the third. Yeah. And it also meant that just that third base was more exposed. So he felt more danger, like he was in more danger early on, so he had to make so many Zerglings. And that was why, at least part of the reason why it was so hard for him to hold later. I
mean, when you see a scout this early as Zerg, you have to be thinking this is probably a pylon and then a forge expands. And that's probably what went through Hydra's head. And then from there, he was trying to adapt as best as he could. But wasn't enough. Squirtle takes the first game. But now, second map, Bel'shir Vestige is loading up. This man here on your screen, he wants to qualify for the top 8 here. He's been working hard for this. So let's not wait anymore and introduce our players. In the bottom right-hand side of Bel'shir Vestige, we have CJ's Hydra. He looks
pretty much the same.
Yeah, very focused every time. Nice poker face. His opponent starting in the top left-hand side of Bel'shir Vestige is going to be Squirtle, who's up by 1 game.
Team CJ was actually famous back in Brood War for their poker faces and the CJ face and just showing zero emotion whatsoever.
Really? That's a thing?
Yeah. Okay. Korean Brood War in general tended to be pretty unemotional, but CJ in particular was known for it. They had a couple of players, going back to Zelos, if anyone actually remembers him, who just zero emotion, could like win a Star League and wouldn't care. And so they got well known for that. Oh, yeah, Hydra definitely seems to have inherited it.
You make me want to watch these VODs, man.
We should. That was the good game.
Squirtle, this is interesting. I don't think he's going to go for a gateway here.
Looks like it should be Forge FE.
Maybe Cannon Rush, if he goes for the Forge quickly.
This is a really good Cannon Rush map with that spot that SOS popularized.
I think it's the best Cannon Rush map. And it doesn't look like he's sending out a probe at the time you should be sending it out, which would be now. So maybe just a Nexus into a Forge or something like that. Then with Squirtle, he's one of those Protosses that likes to mix it up and sometimes do something a little bit special, kind of like Oz, you know, like do a Nexus, then do a Gateway in your expansion, which is going to be risky sometimes, but since nobody can really ever expect it, I mean, Squirtle's not the guy you really go cast 10, pull 10, or cast 14, pull 14 against to try to punish his no scout or something. He's scouting most of the time, and you're rarely going to catch him off guard with this kind of build.
And it does look like it's just going to be a straight Nexus first. And we had a pull first from Hydra. He's a little bit worried about any kind of aggression. I don't know. I really feel like it's worth the risk to try and go hatchery first more games than not. Because, yeah, you could get cannon rush, but it's so hard to hold off a lot of the gateway expansion builds if you don't get that hatch first. But
Hatch
Hydra,
first or die trying?
yeah, kind of feel like that might be necessary. But Hydra is going for the more conservative option, going for that pull first. But pull first against Forge FE, or, well, Nexus first in this case, I think that's pretty okay. You're not going to be under any pressure. You don't really need speed early on to keep yourself alive.
Okay. The minimal 2 Zerglings that you need to get are going to be made here by Hydra, not cutting that corner. Wants to scout at least a minimum on the map, see if there is anything proxied, get some map presence.
And there is a probe out just watching for Zerglings to come in and attack.
I like this because
Smart, yeah.
Since he didn't scout, he could have made a pylon and completely walled off in case there had been Zerglings. Squirtle is one of those players that's, it feels like he plays very safe in the start of the game, but then he starts being super aggressive in the mid game every single time.
Which is really, it shows a lot of thought goes into his play. I'm kind of critical of him sometimes just because I don't think his multitasking is really that amazing, but he definitely puts a lot of thought into the game. He has all the little quirks figured out.
Like what? You mean his multitasking is not amazing?
It may just be leftover prejudice because early on he was pure cheese and not, in my opinion, a very good player. But he's been around this long.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's figured out a few things in the meantime.
Okay. He was able to confirm the third hatchery here, which he's going to be pretty happy about. He knows there can be no real attack headed his way, except maybe a Zinio Baneling bust on 3 hatchery, which doesn't...
I haven't seen that in a long time. I wonder why.
Let's just say players have figured out how to counter it and how to defend against this. But keep in mind, there is a pylon in the wall, but I mean, everybody's got so good against cheeses in general, I think.
They just kind of stopped happening, so people stopped defending. So the first Zerg to bring back something like that will probably get a free win for it, but then everyone will start defending in. And a very fast Stargate coming out from Squirtle.
Yeah, in his main. This could be the standard 4 to 5 Phoenixes into a third base and then Colossus transition. He could also go for the +2 and the Blink upgrade while he's taking a third. I really think every time I see a Stargate like this, I don't think I've ever seen too many 2-base. And Squirtle doesn't strike me as much as he likes 2-base, and he used to do a lot. I don't think he strikes me as one of those guys that will go for like 7 gate behind this and then all in with like 5 Phoenixes and 7 gates.
You will even occasionally get like a Void Ray Warp Gate all in, but actually with another probe coming out, maybe he is in like that.
Yeah, +1.
He's researching
+1.
Yeah. So this is maybe going to be a Phoenix Zealot Stalker kind of attack.
Has to be a Phoenix. You don't have the gas for an Oracle.
And the Phoenix does start up, and have to see when he adds gateways. He's getting a third gas, and Hydra can see the 1 gas. I don't think he can see that he hasn't taken the 4th. So oh yeah, he can. Hydra can see that he's on 3 gases, so he has to know some kind of cheese is coming.
Well, one of the Overlords here flying into the main should be able to spot the Stargate. Okay, Squirtle's not going to hide the Phoenixes any longer. He knows he's revealed. And that probe is a little bit scary on the left-hand side. I'm guessing that those Zerglings are going to be looking for it. By Hydra, but if a pylon goes down and he has some extra gateways, which he just threw down, this could do a ton of damage.
But the Zerglings are headed straight over there, and they're going to catch not only the pylon, but the probe, so he's not going to be able to put down any additional pylons.
Did he see him move out with the probe, or is this just game sense?
He actually used a Stalker to force back the Overlord, so there was no way he could have a vision of it. It was nicely done by Squirtle, but to no avail.
2 Overlords were killed, and there is a third one above the third base of Squirtle. Hydra definitely will want to go over there and start dropping some creep as soon as he has lair. I'm surprised Squirtle didn't check for that, because he's almost there almost every time, and you don't waste too much time checking for it.
He may just be going straight into the main, trying to do some damage before Spores could get up, and then he would go back around and clean it up later, given that it's always going to be there. It doesn't look like he's going to find much of an opening, though.
You see, if it was in position, the Overlord on third base, now lair just finished, he could have been dropping some creep.
Yeah. A little bit sloppy by Hydra. And some Zerglings
floating run by?
Why not?
Man, that game sense. How did he know there was nothing in the wall? I guess he just checked with his Zerglings and he's like, I'm just going to go in if there's nothing. Probably. And there was nothing this one time.
He opened up with a Stalker, so it's slightly less likely it's going to be blocked. The Stalker's off doing whatever Stalkers do. The Phoenix, they're not going to find much of an opening, but they have scouted. What exactly is Hydra doing? He has a very fast Hydra den coming down, so he may be going... And Burrow.
Where is he getting Burrow this quick?
I don't know.
Maybe against the timing. Oh, the Overlord is getting in position on the third base to drop some creep there. This will delay the possible third base for a long time.
And it forces the Phoenix to come back. And actually dropping a cannon there, so playing pretty safe. Hydra checks it immediately, so he knows that Squirtle is going for that third base. He's not going to go for some kind of absurd 2-base all-in.
Oh,
and a Robo coming as well.
Zerglings are headed there now.
They are, but with those 4 Zealots there, that's going to be safe. Hydra's not going to be able to do anything about this. He's clearing up the Overlord, but the creep has been dropped.
Yeah. This is going to buy him a lot of time. I mean, already when you go for Phoenixes, you can't really throw down a 3rd Nexus with just 1 gate and 1 Stargate like you would, for example, if you when I go for the quick +2 and Blink. So he wanted to take this 3rd base around the 9th minutes and even 9:20, something like that, but now it's going to be like 10 minutes. 3rd base, even later than that. So this is quite bad here by Squirtle.
It is really significantly delayed,
Yeah.
yeah. And we still see Burrow and Hydra upgrades coming out. No roaches, nothing.
Those
Burrow
Phoenixes
yeah.
getting frisky here a little bit. He has to be careful.
Well, there's no lockdown, so as long as he doesn't really overcommit, he doesn't have too much to worry about. And Hydra's playing really low drone. He's only at 13. He's under saturation on all of his bases, in fact. So he's going to do a very, very low econ Hydra Ling attack and then try and switch into mutas, it looks like.
But why do you think he got Burrow then?
I don't know. Maybe to salvage a terrible situation, assuming he's not going to have an observer or something.
That's
the only thing I
here.
can think of, but it's very, very strange to get Burrow with a Hydra Ling build.
You know what I was picturing? He's a boudoir player. He burrows Hydralisks in his middle line, and the Phoenix is flying, and then he
Pops
burrows.
up and kills a shuttle, yeah.
Yeah, with a river in it. All right. I think Hydra is, as you said, gearing up for maybe going for an attack. Actually, he stopped making units here for a moment. He's saving up 13 larvas.
I think he realized that the Nexus was late enough that Squirtle's actually going to have quite a few units here. So he's just not going to attack. He's going to use that to defend the 4th and then go into Muta.
Yeah, this is interesting. Every time I see a Zerg with this many Hydralisks, even if his name is Hydra or not, I definitely think he has spent most of his guys and there's not going to be any mutas. But now the way that Hydra is playing this passively, Squirtle should be able to realize something's wrong.
Yeah.
He throws down some additional gateways. Actually, just canceled one of those. And I'm surprised we haven't seen a Twilight Council being made yet.
And this is really smart by Hydra. He actually comes in with an Overseer, checks and see that the Stargate is producing something. He's making Corruptors instead of Mutalisks. So he's actually just going to go for maybe a big Corruptor, Hydra. Now he's making Roaches. I don't know if he ever actually got Roach speed. That could be dangerous.
Yes, he did get it.
Okay, so he did get Roach speed. So he's just going to go for a really, really early Corruptor, Hydra Ling all in. Hydra Roach Ling. And there's only going to be 1 Colossus out, and 10 Corruptors are going to shut that down very easily. It's just going to be a matter of how many ground units. Actually, he will have 2 Colossus by then.
So you think Hydra, he saturates his force base and he goes for endless attacks?
He's not saturating. He's not making any drones right now. He's just making pure units. He actually made...
He took the 2 gases. So yes, definitely...
He's making zero drones, though. So
yeah.
I don't know. He actually had the Overlord lift upgrading for a second and then canceled. I'm not sure if that was a mistake or if he really doesn't know what he wants to do. Seems like he's pretty set on doing a big attack here, though, one way or the other.
He's actually making spores now on his 3rd, or at least he has them queued to start.
He's also
Infestation Pit behind this.
Yeah, the Infestation Pit. He's like really halfway between doing it all.
Those Hydras, they're too far ahead. They're going to get force fielded off just a little bit. Those Corruptors get in there. They're going to nicely target the Colossi. And this is, both players are trading quite evenly, but I think Hydra might have a little bit too much here. He's overpowering Squirtle completely. There's no more force fields, no more sentries. All of these Stalkers are going to die. The supply of Squirtle disappearing very rapidly. Those Phoenixes, they have to run away against the Corruptors. And there is enough Roaches and Hydras to possibly finish this game or do even more crippling damage to Squirtle.
Yeah, there's enough Corruptors left that the Phoenix aren't going to be able to do anything. And he's going to be able to chase off any additional Colossus. He's actually just powering through, and he's going to go through the end here. And the Robo is unpowered, so no more Colossus, no Immortals, no nothing except Stalkers and Sentries and Zealots.
Okay, Hydra not wasting any time here, going for his timing, and this has done a ton of damage. I think even Squirtle Pulse is going to be so far behind. Unpowering the Robo was brilliant here, bought him a lot of time as well. And behind his streams of units keep on getting in there.
And he's making a couple of drones at the same time, so he will have a bit of a 4th base to fall back on, just in case Squirtle manages to hold it off. But with that many Roaches coming in here, he might just be dead here.
And GG gets called. 1-1 is going to be the score here. That was quite convincing here.
Yeah, that was a really nicely planned out build there. The Burrow still is a little bit questionable to me, but...
Look at the happiness.
Oh yeah, he looks overjoyed. Yeah. No, that was really... I kind of thought he was going to go for Muta. Muta seems to be the flavor of the month for ZVP right now, but just checking that Stargate, making the decision to go with Corruptors and go for the all-in. I liked it.
That was very, very smart. It feels like Korean players, a lot of those high-level players, they figured out stuff like that. For example, now what you said, you scout the Stargate just before producing the mutas, and then you go for Corruptors. If you see something else being made, or if you see that there is too many Phoenixes, that not many players have figured out, because
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen this much.
A lot of players will just blindly make the mutas in that situation. I'm not sure if that was ever his plan. Given that he got the Roach speed early, that kind of says maybe he was looking for this Roach Hydra timing attack.
Yeah.
So maybe it was never his plan in the first place, but a lot of people would just blindly go mutas. You really need to check that Stargate beforehand, because if your opponent's still producing Phoenix, it's just a free loss. And if they're going Void Race like that, it's not really something I've seen a ton, but maybe if he goes Void Race there, he just always kind of loses, because the Void Rays don't really kick in yet. He doesn't just have enough army to hold on.
I know Void Rays are good against Corruptors, but one Void Ray versus 10 Corruptors
doesn't work so well, especially when you're trying to protect your Colossus. You really need a lot more Stalkers there instead.
That was interesting here, the way Hydra played this on one of the maps that I would say personally is one of my favorite, probably my favorite in Protoss versus Zerg. Squirtle playing a completely different style than what I had predicted, playing a build I had never seen him play, or at least not for some time. Because this used to be pretty much the standard. You will go for a Twilight Council behind this, get Blink. But now that timing, it really felt like it caught Squirtle off guard. And it was just before he would start getting really strong. If he had, say, a third Colossus in this and one more Warping of Stalkers, this could have been a completely different story.
His third Nexus was delayed by more than a minute and a half. I'm not sure if that's quite enough to really explain the lack of units. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe he went for Void Rays too early. There was a few things all conspiring there, but really the lack of scouting. Even though he had the Phoenix out, he never really saw the Corruptors coming until they were at his base. He didn't see the production of the Roaches, so he just kind of got caught off guard.
Also made a ton of probes, like he wasn't in any danger.
Yeah.
Anyway, third map here is going to be played on Yeonsu, and in the bottom left-hand corner, we're going to have Hydra. Would you like to do an introduction?
Sure. And then in the top right-hand corner, from Team IEM, we have the Protoss Squirtle.
So much enthusiasm. I love it.
So very, very.
All right, Squirtle. He used different builds. One of them worked, one of them didn't work here.
Going
he goes
back to
for
the
a
gateway
pylon.
expansion.
Yeah, but supposedly, I think almost in every of the recent games that I've seen him play, he goes for the wall at the ramp, and now he's not going for it. So maybe taking a bit of a gamble here.
Maybe a bit.
Compared to usually. And we'll see if he scouts or not.
That could mean that he's more likely to go for some kind of quick 4-gate, because he's going to drop 3 gateways at his choke and have a full or a full block off there.
Okay.
Especially on a map like this, the third bases, again, much like Polar Knight, the third bases are pretty exposed on here. Until you knock down the rocks, you don't have an easy third base to take. So maybe he's just looking to go for some kind of punishment there, because Hydra has both games gone for gasless 3-base, which can be very exposed against 4-gate, like a very, very all-in 4-gateway Zealot rush.
Wow, and no scouts so far by Squirtle here.
Yeah, so he's playing very greedy early on, just getting as many minerals as he can. Not really worried about what Hydra's going to do.
And no gas. He's not making any gas yet. Does he go for the same? Okay, never mind.
There goes the gas.
Goes for one at least. Gonna go for the second one as well.
So not the very fast Zealot all in.
Yeah, no, I think this could be basically just a standard 1-gate, 2-gas expand with which you get the Mothership Core, 1 Sentry, and then you wall off your natural with whatever you want, 1 Stargate even if you want. And he's still gonna go for the quick Nexus, I think.
Oh, Steph. Even with the 4 gateway Zealot, I mean, like the gateway expansion and then 4 gateway Zealot kind of thing. I would be very surprised to see him go for a 1-base all in.
No,
right
but I mean, I don't think he's gonna throw something like a Stargate before throwing down the Nexus. He's almost always gonna be a very quick Nexus and then into something. But yeah, like I said, I think Sentry, Mothership Core here is very good. It's very safe. Usually you get the Sentry right at the time when speed and speedling all in or pressure will finish. So you're going to find yourself very safe against that. You don't have to get a Zealot. Actually, he might cancel that and throw down the Nexus just before you see his rally this Nexus onto his natural. But Hydra, he went for the very safe route here as well.
Very,
just
very
like in
safe.
Second game.
I think that was a 15 pull, maybe a 14 pull, but getting 4 Lings out immediately. So he's a little bit concerned about something, or maybe he just wants to try and harass this Nexus. But one way or another, it's not really going to accomplish. Actually, Squirtle just canceled whatever unit he was making. He doesn't have anything.
But I mean, he's going to get the Mothership Core now. He's going to get a Sentry possibly as well. Actually, he doesn't have the gas because he's been mining mostly minerals to be able to start his Nexus.
Oh, and he actually catches the probe coming out. So good catch by him. Not going to be able to put up any pylons. Second probe coming out, and those 3 Zerglings, Mothership Core will scare them off.
I have to say, some of these Korean players here, the details and the way they apply themselves when they play is very, very impressive. They don't miss much, and when they do, usually they find a way to come back into the game. But here, as you say, just catching that 1 probe, very fortunate, but nicely done, like splitting 1 Ling immediately on it. And I feel like Hydra, he does not ever really get surprised too much. In the first game it happened and he lost, but if he doesn't get surprised like in the first game, I really feel like he's going to be the overwhelming favorite here. I'm starting to believe it because Second game was so convincing.
Even in the first game, he wasn't really so much surprised, just as he had uncomfortable build orders early on, and Squirtle just went right for the throat and really didn't give him any time to recover. Because like he knew what was going to happen, he just couldn't get out enough units in time to defend. And a very fast Stargate.
Yeah, in the wall. Pretty cool here.
Very fast. In fact, before any other gateways. Just with that one sentry, as you said, to keep himself safe.
Yeah, 2 gates plus 1 Stargate here. I guess since he has the sentry plus the mothership core, he's going to be safe. Thanks to the photon overcharge, but I don't think there's going to be an oracle. It's possible, but since he's been spotted, this will be even weaker. So I think 4 phoenixes, and then I'm hoping into a quick third.
A really fast Roach Warren from Hydra.
6 minutes is really fast.
Pretty fast, yeah. Unless
Okay.
you actually, basically what happens is you watch those third and fourth gases, and if you don't see them by the 6:30 mark, then you need to make a Roach Warren, and that's an early defensive Roach Warren. Getting it this early makes me think he might actually be going for some kind of a little Roachling attack.
Okay.
It's very early, especially given that he scouted the Stargate, so he should know there's no gateway pressure coming.
Yeah, and Squirtle actually adding on an extra third gateway behind the mineral line of his main. So he's not going to be too greedy about this, making sure he has at least the minimum 3 Stargates that you need to have. He actually wants to pressure, I think, because he's whopping in some Zealots with that one pylon that he has below his third base. And it was actually an Oracle, which I'm surprised about. But I guess, there's 2 Queens now.
There's 2 Queens, and he has some Roaches coming out to help deal with the Zealots. Some Zerglings as well. So it feels like Hydra knew exactly what was going on. Somehow or another, he just knew that there was going to be some gateway pressure under this.
Does he know about these Zealots, you think, for sure? Yeah, I guess
he's making Roaches. I can't imagine why else, unless he wants to go for an attack.
Yeah. Either is possible. Link speed is on the way here, and with 3 more Roaches, I think Hydra should be perfectly safe. But we've seen San go for this kind of aggression and really making it work. He keeps on warping in Zealots until he has like 10, and he goes for it. And even if you have Roaches, I mean, time warp, Zealots are going to be able to shoot at them, to attack them consistently. And a force goes down behind this by Squirtle.
Yeah.
But I really feel like he's committing too much. Do you think he should recall?
I think he needs to get out one way or another and not build any more units, because Hydra is very well prepared for this. And unlike San was doing that with much more all-in kind of build. Squirtle is not really committed to this at all. So those units weren't going to do anything against the Roachling. I think it's actually the point where Hydra made too many units. He over-defended here. But at least he kept himself safe. And
I mean, he was on 37 drones against 45 probes, but he has the economy to start a lot of drones at once. And now with the lair going, he can make some use of those units, I guess. He's going to have to be careful about force fields, obviously, but Squirtle, I think he goes for a third from there.
Yeah, this pylon actually sees a good number of units coming out, so Squirtle's going to know he needs to be on the defensive a bit here. But with a Void Ray out, I mean, he's going to be pretty much totally safe.
Big Daddy is here.
I think this is a pretty uncomfortable situation for Hydra. He really made more units than he wants to, and he's not going to be able to get anything out of him. And we see Burrow coming very quickly.
So how do you like this?
Maybe a Burrow Roach all-in kind of thing? Or at least Burrow and try and block a third.
Hydra seems to be a big fan of Burrow in general. I mean, in the first game he didn't really have time to start it, but in second game he got it very early.
Essentially, no, he didn't burrow a single unit that game, as far as I saw.
Yeah, because he won before he had to.
I suppose so. No additional Void Rays coming out. I really dislike doing Roach pressure against Void Rays for pretty obvious reasons, but if there's only a single one, maybe he can just kind of power through it.
Ooh, those units, they might try to get in there here. If he snipes the pylon, no, there's sentries.
And he's going straight for Blink here, so no Robo at all, which means that if it is kind of mass Roach pressure, and we have Burrow still coming, as well as Roach speed, it means he's only going to have the Oracle for detection if he does try and abuse the Burrow.
Yeah, Squirtle going for the +2 here and the upgrades on the Forge. I'm sure he's going to be starting +2 very quickly. And this is the style he's been very successful with. Oh, the Zealots on the rocks. Almost lost one of them. This always happens to me, man. Every time I kill those rocks.
That becomes a scouting Zealot. His life is forfeit.
And yeah, Squirtle going for this style here. I really like this. This is what he's been most successful with recently, playing against strong players like Scarlet, like Czech. He was able to beat them with this very style. And I really feel like he's going to be in a good shape here, being able to secure himself. Oh, wow.
A Robo comes down.
He was just attacking his own Zealot here for a second. Scared me. The Robo here is standard, but I think if he drops down a few additional gateways and he goes for a very strong timing, this could do a lot. Even without doing too much damage, he could force like a ton of units. I'm not sure that Hydra has reached the drone count that he wants to reach yet. 67 right now?
67? That's a bit short. You can work with that, but you'd really like to get up towards 80 if it's going to be a long macro game. So he might either catch him going for 80, or you might just hold him to that while going macro himself, depending on how he uses that Robo. Fourth base coming down. No macro hatch yet for Hydra. He's just on relatively low econ Roach Hydra. He is getting double upgrades going, though.
Yeah.
And that is pretty good against the style if it does kick in time. Although it's going to be close.
This is what I thought. Squirtle is going to start moving out. He wants to pressure. He has a lot of energy on those sentries. He actually kind of wasted 4 force fields on just a few links here. He was able to proxy a pylon, but this gets found again. Ooh. Great game sense here by Hydra.
2 more gateways and a Robo-Bay coming. This is a little bit schizophrenic by Squirtle. He hasn't taken the gases as 5th or 6th, so going... Oh, there they go now. But going for a Stalker Colossus ball might be kind of difficult. It's going to take him some time to get that running, but it doesn't really seem like he's going for an attack here.
Yeah, I'm surprised Squirtle's being so shy here. Usually he always attacks in this situation. He tries to get a good trade with the force fields. He even uses the photon overcharge.
He's really, really scared for some reason. I'm not sure if it was just that last game messing with his mind, but yeah. He's definitely intimidated by Hydra.
Look at the overseer, the scouting of this guy, man. This is perfect. He's going to see the robo-base, he's going to see all the gateways, he's going to know exactly what he's up against. Infestation Pit is finishing. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Hive starting straight away.
Yeah, he really needs, he does see all of the extra gateways, and that's enough to definitely set off warning bells in Hydra's head. He knows, and he's going to go Locust in response to it. So,
okay, on this map, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, this map is small enough you can get the Locusts wherever you need them. You got a lot of high ground, and you can't run up high ground into Locusts. It just doesn't really work until you have 4+ Colossus.
It's pretty good to say the least.
It is pretty good. He does not have a Spire, though, so once the Colossus counts... Oh, Spore Crawler? What?
He's getting a Spore Crawler in the main. This is a bit weird, but I like the overlord placement. Yeah, the overlord placement on the left-hand side by Hydra is beautiful. Look at the crease spread. This is Scarlet Light.
Yeah.
I don't think he really wants to go for an attack here, but who knows with Hydra,
He's just messing with him, I'm sure. He's not going to charge up that ramp. Force fields exist. The first Colossus comes on down. That will join the fray.
10 Infestors. How many do you think he should go for?
Oh, he's going Infestor? What?
Swarm.
Swarm House. I was confused. I was like, those don't do damage anymore.
Didn't have to guess.
Swarm Hosts, how many? It really depends. Against Colossus, it can be kind of iffy, but this is a really good map. Ooh, he needs to be careful about not getting caught by Force Field. It's a nice arc for Hydra, but Colossus against the Hydras.
What do you think is the magic number for Swarm Hosts for them to start being really good in a game like this? I think it's like 16.
I think around 12 they start getting dangerous because he only has the 1 Colossus thus far. Without AoE, Locusts are just so good. But yeah, once he starts getting more Colossus, you need a lot of them, 16+.
Oh, Hydra has to be careful here. This is the timing that Squirtle is the strongest at versus what Hydra has. Actually, 101 army supply against 80 right now.
Oh, he's actually just kind of attack moving through him. That was, wow. How is that so easy?
He got caught out of situation, out of position here, and Hydra, he lost his entire Hydralisk army here before the fight even really started. So behind this, he's remaxing on Roaches. Now he's got a ton of Swarm Host.
But against so many Stalkers, I don't know if Roaches are really going to cut it here. That was absolutely perfect timing by Squirtle. He didn't wait for the extra Colossus like a lot of Protoss might. He recognized the Swarm Host. He recognized all of his gateways coming up at once, and he just went for it.
And Hydra really got caught off guard. And if Hydra was on Hive Tech with Vipers, I would give him the advantage here. But he's on Lair Tech.
Yeah, he was just getting his Swarm Host count going.
He messed up here. I really feel like he messed up big time, and from there, Squirtle is going to be in a very strong position to possibly win the series. He's going for a flank from 2 sides. He's going to get in there. The force field squad useless at this point. There is only 1 Guardian Shield available, helping this fight, and Hydra is going to defend this squad well here. Squirtle, he has to go back.
That was an absolutely beautiful flank. He timed it to come in with the Locust. He surrounded, he targeted down the Colossus. That was just absolutely perfect by Hydra.
And you know, Squirtle didn't bring his Mothership Core, so he didn't have any Time Warps available to help with this.
He couldn't panic recall out. He couldn't really do anything. He just lost 2 or 3 Colossus for free, lots of his ground army.
That was so good because there was creep as well. He came in so fast, like a wrecking ball, man.
And through all that, the only thing that he killed a lot of Hydras, but he didn't kill any of the Swarm Hosts. The only thing he gained is that he stopped Hydra from making more Swarm Hosts. But now we have a Spire completed. We have, how many? He's up to 10 Swarm Hosts, so he'd like a little bit more, but that's enough to matter.
Yeah, he's already maxed out, man. What else do you want?
Yeah, he has a really good economy. He's starting to build up a pretty big bank. He can remax.
So you will go for like 10 Evos and some units and then cancel, or?
You don't really need to at this point because you can just trade. As long as you can keep pressure on your opponent, you don't need to do that. You can just keep trading units.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to do. He's listening to you.
He's diving in. He's killing off the Colossus. This is great by him. I don't know, he's kind of suiciding his Corruptors.
Yeah.
And those force fields do matter. He needs to be a little bit more careful maybe, but I think at this point Hydra just really feels like he has the game won and he can attack and push him out.
The 1 Colossus here going to be the hero in helping defend against this. Squirtle needs to blink.
So much damage.
Yeah,
they kill stuff really fast.
They do a ton of damage, and there's actually still creep in the middle of the map. A few of these tumors survived.
Yeah, Squirtle, I don't know if he kind of panicked or if he just thought he could go for blood or what, but he didn't really do any significant damage. He just kind of charged for the 4th base when he killed off the army, and it gave Hydra enough time.
Yeah. Look at Hydra on the 4th base of Squirtle. There is a Zergling Burrow, there is an Overlord as well. He's meticulous with details. At this point, Squirtle is basically fighting Locust.
Locust with Stalkers, and that's not what you want to do.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's going to be able to move out anytime soon. Do you really think that Hydra at this point he has the game locked down? What can
I think
Squirtle
it's
do?
pretty much over. I don't know what Squirtle can do. He's down 70 supply. He doesn't have tech to fall down. He doesn't even have a Templar Archives.
Trying for some Zealot counter-attack here, but not even going to get the hatchery over here.
Yeah, it does some damage, but that's it. And Hydra's just absolutely everywhere. His creep, his vision, he's producing all the right units. He's constantly trading. He's not letting Squirtle sit back and try and build up a death ball. It's just really, really perfect play from Hydra.
And Hydra now is pretty much maxed out permanently. He's got a big bang behind this. He's going to go for a very strong attack. His Corruptors get in there. They're going to snipe the Colossus. The Mothership Core should follow. GG gets called. And Hydra takes it.
That was brilliant play from Hydra. I thought he was in trouble after that engagement. He lost all his Hydras, most of his Roaches, and then he's remixing on Roaches, which is usually like a panic move from Zerg. But he has caught Squirtle in the perfect position. That was a really good flank, incorporating the Locust and everything, target firing, just perfect play from Hydra.
Zerg strong units.
No, Hydra strong player.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that one. Very well played here, this guy. He looks a little bit relieved, I'm tempted to say, but not sure
Really,
if
you
he
think
is.
so? I don't see anything there.
I see
That's a nothing.
Come on, look at him.
Maybe a little bit.
That's his happy face here. Gonna unplug his stuff right away, and he will be facing either Grubby or Hack later on, which is going to be our next match. Any prediction in group? You think, after watching this series here, you think Hydra takes it for sure?
I would have said Hydra first for sure before that match even, and that did nothing to shake my confidence in him.
Even that first game versus Squirtle? Well, even that first game, what do you attribute this loss?
It's a tough map. It's a tough situation. Squirtle had a really nice build planned out.
It's a tough map?
It's a tough map, yeah. To hold on to a third against that gateway rush.
Okay.
You said yourself, Hydra knew what was coming. He prepared, and he just lost anyway.
Okay, well, we found a bit of his mistakes. Hoping he will check the VOD.
Squirtle created the mistakes, though. That wasn't entirely in Hydra's hands. It was just good play, like smart play, a really abusive play from Squirtle.
All right, our next match, Hack versus Grubby. What do you think about this one?
I think Hack, he's not a Kespo player, but I think kind of in the line of Hydra. He's one of those Korean players who kind of flies under the radar, but is really good. I think Grubby will be hard-pressed. I think Grubby needs to make something happen early to really have much of a chance there.
All right, well, thank you. It's been a pleasure casting with you. Maybe someday again.
Maybe. If Hydra keeps going, and I don't know, are there any Protosses? Oh, Hero. We got to get a PVZ from Hero so you can have the winning end of it.
Thank you, Greg. All right, we're going to head to a break, and then we'll be right back with more games. Don't go anywhere, guys.